The twin suns of planet Torvum were setting, and the sky turned a deep orange. Wind carried fine red dust across the wide desert. In the middle of nowhere stood a small repair station. Half buried under metal scraps and old ship parts, a young human named Milo lived there. Alone. Milo was not a soldier or explorer. He fixed broken machines, old comm towers, and anything that still had some life in it. Most days were quiet. He liked it that way. That evening, Milo was working on a damaged power relay outside the station. Sparks flew, and sweat ran down his neck. He sighed and wiped his hands on a rag. As he turned to go back inside, something in the distance caught his eye. A dark shape lay on the red sand, just beyond the hill. At first, Milo thought it was junk dropped from a passing freighter. But the shape didn't look like metal. It looked human or something close to it. Curious, Milo walked toward it. As he got closer, he stopped. His heart skipped a beat. It wasn't junk. It was a person. A woman, wearing strange silver clothing, was lying face down in the dust. Her back rose and fell, very slowly. She was alive but barely. Milo dropped to his knees beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" he asked loudly. The woman didn't answer. Her skin was a soft lavender color, and her hair, long and silver white, was tangled with dust. One of her arms was twisted under her, and blood stained the cloth on her side. Milo had never seen her species before, but one thing was clear: she needed help. "I've got you," he whispered, and gently lifted her into his arms. She was light, but her body was tense, like it had been running or fighting. Milo didn't waste time. He carried her back to his station and laid her on a metal table in his workshop. Inside, small lights blinked, and machines hummed quietly. Milo grabbed his med kit and got to work. He cleaned the wound on her side, sealed it with foam, and wrapped it tight. The woman groaned faintly. "You'll be okay," Milo said, more to himself than to her. Hours passed. The woman slept, her breathing shallow but steady. Milo sat nearby, watching her with wide eyes. He had no idea who she was or why she had collapsed in the desert, but she wasn't just anyone. That much he could tell. When the suns rose the next morning, the woman stirred. Milo was sipping warm synth tea when he heard her gasp. He rushed to her side. Her eyes opened slowly, pale blue, almost glowing. She sat up quickly, but winced in pain and grabbed her side. "Easy," Milo said, holding up his hands. "You're safe. I found you outside and patched you up." She stared at him, confused and wary. Her hand moved toward her boot, like searching for a weapon, but there was none. "You don't have to fight," he said. "I'm not your enemy." The woman's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" Her voice was soft but sharp. "Milo. I fix things out here. Machines, mostly." He pointed at her wound. "You were hurt. I just helped." The woman looked around, taking in the dusty workshop. "How long was I out?" "Almost a whole night," Milo said. "I was about to check for a doctor's ship when you woke up." No doctor," she said quickly. Her voice was urgent now. "No calls. No signals. Please." Milo frowned. "Are you in danger?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, slowly, her legs shaking. She leaned on the table, trying to steady herself. Milo moved to help her, but she held up her hand. "No, I can manage. Suit yourself," he said. "But you won't last long if you don't rest." She looked at him again, this time with less suspicion and more curiosity. "Why did you help me?" Milo blinked. "Because you needed help. That's simple." "Yeah," he said, shrugging. "You're alive. That's what matters." She stared at him for a moment longer, then did something that surprised him. She bent down and drew a small symbol in the dust with her finger. It looked like a star with wings. "What's that?" Milo asked. The woman didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "Thank you, Milo. Do you have a name?" he asked gently. She paused. Then, after a long silence, said, Rena. "Okay, nice to meet you under strange circumstances." She allowed a small, tired smile to touch her lips. Over the next few days, Rena stayed in the workshop. She didn't talk much, but she watched everything. She was quiet, careful, and always alert like someone who expected danger at every turn. Milo noticed small things. Her reflexes were sharp. She knew how to repair power tools. She moved with the grace of a trained fighter. And once, when a signal drone passed over the station, Rena vanished into the shadows before Milo even. Not. The days passed slowly on the desert planet of Torvin. Milo continued his work as usual, fixing broken machines and checking power cells. But now, his life felt different. He wasn't alone anymore. The alien woman, Rena, was still in his workshop, quiet, alert, and watching everything. She didn't talk much, but Milo didn't mind. He was used to silence. Still, something about Rena made him curious. She wasn't like any visitor he had ever seen. Her movements were smooth and quick. Her eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, and she always kept a small tool hidden in her sleeve just in case. One morning, Milo caught her adjusting one of his scanners. "You know how to fix that?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Rena gave a short nod. "The sensor was misaligned." Milo chuckled. "You don't talk much, but you sure know machines." She shrugged. "I've had training." "Military?" he asked, half joking. Rena's eyes met his. She didn't answer. Milo raised both hands. Okay, none of my business." She turned back to the scanner, but Milo saw a flicker of something in her expression, maybe fear, or maybe guilt. That night, as the sun set behind the rocky hills, Milo sat outside, sipping a warm drink. Rena joined him, her eyes scanning the horizon. The wind blew gently, carrying the soft sound of insects from the distant dunes. "Why? Were you out there?" Milo asked quietly. "Alone?" "Wounded?" Rena didn't reply right away. She stared into the distance for a long time. "I was on a ship," she finally said. "It was attacked. I escaped in a pod." "By who?" he asked. "People. Who wanted to silence me," she said. Milo frowned. "You mean pirates?" She shook her head. "No, worse." He waited for her to continue, but she didn't. Instead, she looked up at the stars. "They'll come looking for me," she said. "I can't stay here long." Milo leaned forward. "You're safe here. No one comes to this place unless they're lost or broken." Rena turned to him. "You don't understand. They have ships, drones, eyes everywhere." "Then tell me what you're running from," he said. "Maybe I can help." Rena hesitated. Then she slowly pulled back the sleeve of her left arm. There, burned faintly into her skin, was a mark shaped like a winged star, the same symbol she had once drawn in the dust. Milo's eyes widened. "I've seen that before, in the old galactic files. That's a royal mark, isn't it?" Rena nodded once. You're part of the royal family?" "I was," she said. "Now I'm a target." Milo leaned back, stunned. "You're a princess, yes?" she said softly. "From the Velari Empire. First in line. My family's ship was attacked by our own council members. They wanted control. They tried to kill me. I escaped." Milo shook his head slowly. He couldn't believe it. The quiet woman who had fixed his scanner, who had eaten noodles in silence just yesterday, was actually royalty. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. "Because if they find you helping me, you'll be punished too," she said. "I didn't want you involved." Milo looked at her seriously. "I already am." Rena looked down at the ground. "I didn't expect kindness. Not here. Not from a human." Milo smiled a little. "Well, sorry to surprise you." Later that night, Milo checked the outer perimeter while Rena rested. His station was surrounded by old metal fences and motion sensors, but they weren't very strong. If someone really wanted to break in, they could. He found himself thinking about Rena, a princess, a real one. What would the Empire do if they knew she was alive? Would they rescue her? Or would they try to finish what they started? Suddenly, a beeping sound came from one of the motion scanners. Milo froze. A small patrol drone floated above the hill, scanning the area with a blue light. It wasn't one of his. It had no ID signal. He ducked behind a broken metal frame and watched. The drone hovered for a few seconds, then turned toward the workshop. Milo's heart pounded. He ran back inside. Rena, we've got trouble. She was already awake, standing by the window. I saw it, she said. It's heading this way, Milo told her. Rena pulled out a small device from under her belt. It looked like a round crystal with wires. What's that? He asked. A pulse disruptor. Is it going to break my workshop? No, she said. Just the drone. She ran outside, climbed the nearest metal tower, and aimed the device toward the sky. The drone floated closer. Rena pressed the trigger. A wave of blue light pulsed out. The drone sparked and dropped to the ground, lifeless. Rena climbed down quickly. Milo met her near the drone. That wasn't a random scan, she said. They're looking for me. Milo stared at the destroyed drone. Then we need a plan. The next morning, Rena was already awake, sitting beside a dusty map of the region. There's an old port, she said, pointing. Here, 50 kilometers south, if I can reach it, The morning sun rose over the dusty hills of Torvin. Inside the small workshop, Milo stood beside a map laid out on the table, across from him. Rena pointed at a marked location near the edge of the wastelands. There's a hidden port here, she said. Old, not used much. Some traders still pass through. If I can reach it, I can send a message to the outer colonies. Maybe someone still loyal will come. Milo scratched his head. 50 kilometers through open desert, with drones scanning the skies. Rena nodded. I'll leave at night. Travel fast. I can do it. Milo crossed his arms. You won't make it alone. I've survived worse, she said calmly. Not out here, he replied. Not with broken tech and no backup. Rena stared at him for a moment. You want to help me? I already am. Milo said. You're not just a guest anymore. You're in trouble land now. So am I. There was silence for a while. Then Rena gave a small nod. All right, we leave tonight. Milo spent the whole day preparing. He checked the old cargo flyer parked behind the workshop. It hadn't flown in months, but the engine still hummed when he powered it up. He filled its tank with fuel, packed supplies, and made sure the signal scrambler was working. Rena checked the weapons. She had found an old blaster hidden under the floor and adjusted the power cells with ease. Milo watched her move fast, skilled, and careful. She wasn't just a royal. She had been trained for battle. That evening, while eating simple dried fruit and protein bars, Milo asked, You said some of your own people tried to silence you. Why? Rena looked out the window at the darkening sky. Because I wanted peace. Milo frowned. Peace? Rena nodded. The Villari Empire has fought too many wars. I spoke against it. I wanted change. The others wanted power. They feared I'd take the throne and end their rule. So they tried to get rid of you. Yes, she said. Even my uncle. He controls the council now. He declared me dead. Milo looked at her wrist, where the mark had been burned into her skin. That's your royal mark, right? Rena rolled up her sleeve. The skin there was scarred, but the symbol was still clear as star with wings. It's a sign of the first line, she said. Only direct heirs wear it. It cannot be copied. Anyone who sees it will know who I am. Milo stared at the mark. You're really a princess. Rena's eyes met his. Not anymore. Not until I return. They left after midnight. The cargo flyer rose into the air, its engine humming softly. Milo sat in the pilot's seat, staring it across the desert. Rena sat beside him, holding the blaster and watching the sky. The desert stretched far and wide, dark and quiet. Above them, the stars blinked like tiny signals. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the screen. Milo's eyes widened. We've been scanned. Where? Rena asked quickly. High left. Looks like a scout drone. It's locking on. Hold steady, she said. I'll take the shot. Milo tilted the flyer just enough to give her a view. The drone was small but fast. It flew toward them like a bird of steel. Rena aimed. The blaster fired. The first shot missed. The second hit the drone's wing. It spun and exploded in the air, sending sparks across the sky. We need to move, Milo said. That one wasn't alone. Rena nodded. Head for the canyon. They can't track us easily there. Milo turned the flyer sharply and dropped altitude. The rocky canyon below offered cover. The ship dipped between stone walls, flying fast through narrow paths. Suddenly, a warning alarm beeped. More drones. Behind us, Milo shouted. Keep flying, Rena said. He did, fast and low. The chase lasted nearly an hour, but finally, the drones lost the signal. Milo brought the flyer down near a cave hidden in the canyon wall. They rested there for a while, catching their breath. You all right? He asked her. Yes, she said. But they're getting closer. Someone knows I'm alive. Milo looked at her. What happens if you reach someone loyal? I return to Veller, she said, and take back what was stolen. And then I rebuild. Milo smiled faintly. Sounds like a plan. They reached the old port just before dawn. It was half buried in the sand, forgotten by most. Rusted towers stood like bones, and broken ships lay silent in the dust. But inside a small control room, an old comm unit still worked. Rena activated it and sent a coded message using a language Milo didn't recognize. Now we wait, she said. They waited to days. Milo fixed broken cables, and Rena stood watch. They slept in turns, ate little, and stayed hidden. On the third morning, a ship appeared. It was sleek, black, and silent. It hovered above the port and lowered a ramp. Rena stood tall. They came. A tall alien soldier stepped out, wearing dark armor. When he saw Rena, he knelt. Princess, he said. You live. I do, she said. And I'm ready to return. He nodded. Your loyal guard awaits. Milo stepped back, unsure what to do. Rena turned to him. Come with me, he said, surprised. You saved my life. Help me escape. You're not just a repairman anymore. Milo looked at the ship, then back at her. I don't belong there. You do now, she said softly. He paused, then gave a small smile. All right, let's go. They walked up the ramp together, side by side. As the ship rose into the sky, the desert below shrank into dust. Milo didn't know what waited for him in the stars, but he knew one thing. He had saved. The royal ship flew through deep space like a shadow, silent, fast, hidden. Milo sat near a window, staring at the stars. He had never traveled this far from his repair station. The ship felt strange to him, to clean, to quiet. But what felt even stranger was sitting beside Rena, now dressed in dark silver armor with her crest pinned near her shoulder. It reminded him again she wasn't just any traveler. She was a princess, the first princess of the Velari Empire. And now she was returning home to take back what was hers. The ship's commander, Captain Rel, stood near the controls. He was tall, with short horns and sharp eyes. We're 3 hours from the hidden base, Rel said. That's where your loyal forces are waiting. Princess, Rena nodded. Any sign of the council's patrols? Not yet, Rel replied. But we're being careful. They have eyes everywhere. Milo looked at Rena. Is this really happening? She smiled softly. Yes, and it's only just beginning. 2 hours later, alarms echoed through the ship. Enemy ships approaching. One of the crew shouted. 3 of them fast interceptors. They found us, Rel said sharply. The ship shook as blasts hit the shield. Milo gripped his seat tightly. What do we do now? We fight, Rena said, standing tall. We don't stop. Rel turned to his crew. Evasive maneuvers. Prepare weapons. The ship spun to the side, dodging another blast. Rena moved toward the control panel and opened a small screen. There's an old mining moon nearby, she said. We can hide there. It's risky, Rel warned. It's better than open space, Milo said. Rel nodded. Set course. The mining moon was dark and covered in dust. Long tunnels stretched under its surface, dug by machines long forgotten. The royal ship landed near a deep crater. Rel sent out decoy signals to confuse the enemy. Then they powered down all lights. Inside the tunnels, Rena led Milo and a few guards through the shadows. The path was tight and cold. Every step echoed like thunder. This place is abandoned, Rena whispered. But it has secrets. Milo looked around. What kind of secrets? Old smuggler routes, she said. and maybe a way to reach the capital without being seen. As they moved deeper, Milo saw carvings on the tunnel wall, symbols, dates, even names. This place had history, forgotten, but still alive. Suddenly, they heard movement stop. Rena ordered. Everyone froze. From around the corner, a figure stepped out. He was covered in dust, wearing a heavy coat and goggles. "Who's there?" he asked. "Rena of Velar," she replied. "Daughter of House Velari." The man blinked, then slowly removed his goggles. "I thought you were dead." "I'm not," she said, "and I need your help." The man's name was Tarn, a former Velari officer who had gone into hiding after the power shift in the Empire. He led them to an old underground room filled with maps, radios, and dusty supplies. "I've been watching the council," Tarn explained. "They control the cities now. The people follow them out of fear, not loyalty." Rena stepped closer. "Do they know I survived?" Tarn nodded. "Yes, your uncle has offered a reward for your capture. They've told the people you ran from your duty, that you betrayed the Empire." Milo clenched his fists. "That's a lie. I know," Tarn said. "And so do others, quiet ones. Hidden ones." Rena looked at the maps. "We need to reach the capital. If I can stand before the people and show the truth, they will listen." Tarn pointed to a narrow route on the map. "There's one way, through the old trade tunnel. It leads under the city. Forgotten by most. It'll be dangerous," Rel added. "If they catch us down there, we won't have time to escape." Rena looked at Milo. He nodded. "Let's do it." The next night, they entered the old trade tunnel. Milo walked beside Rena. Their steps echoed in the deep stone path. Pipes lined the walls. Faded signs pointed to old storage rooms and broken lifts. The tunnel seemed endless. But Rena kept walking. She didn't speak much. Her eyes stayed focused. But every once in a while, she looked at Milo and her expression softened. "You're not like the others," she said quietly. "How so?" he asked. "You didn't know who I was. But you still helped me. You didn't ask for anything." "I just did what I thought was right," Milo replied. "That's rare these days," she said. They walked in silence for a while. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. Guards. Someone shouted. "They have been found. Run!" Rel yelled. The group rushed forward. Blaster fire lit the tunnel. Sparks flew from the walls. Milo ducked and followed Rena, who led them through a side path. They reached a steel door. Tarn opened it quickly, and they all slipped inside. The door slammed shut behind them. Milo gasped for air. "That was close." Rena looked at the tunnel ahead. "We're almost there. Just one more level to go." But they all knew the real fight was waiting above. As they reached the final staircase, Rena stopped. She turned to Milo. "Once we go up, there's no turning back." "I didn't come this far to run," he said. Rena smiled. "Then stay close, together." They climbed toward the city above. What waited for them was unknown. But Milo knew one thing for sure. He hadn't just saved a life back on that desert world. He had joined a mission that would change a galaxy. And no matter what came next, he wasn't walking away. The old staircase ended behind a sealed metal door. Beyond it was the capital city of Velar Prime, the heart of the Empire. But it didn't look like Milo had imagined. The buildings were tall but gray, their walls dull and lifeless. Crowds moved. In silence, no laughter, no freedom. Soldiers in black armor patrolled every street. Drones hovered above like metal birds, scanning everything. Rena stood at the back entrance of a forgotten marketplace, hidden in her hooded cloak. She looked at her home city with sadness in her eyes. "This place used to shine," she whispered. Milo stood beside her. "What happened?" "My uncle turned fear into power," she said. "Now, even the stars feel darker." Captain Rel and Tarn joined them. They had reached the capital safely through the old tunnel, but danger still surrounded them. "We need to move quickly," Rel said. "The people must see you. Speak to them before your uncle finds out you're here." Tarn nodded. "There's one place where voices still rise, the Workers' Square. It's not far, and people gather there every day. If you speak there, they'll listen." Rena pulled her cloak tighter. "Then we go now." before fear silences them forever. They moved through side alleys, keeping low. Milo stayed close to Rena, his eyes always watching. He saw fear in the faces of the people. Even the children didn't run or laugh. They walked with their heads down. At one corner, a group of guards stopped a young man. They asked for his ID. When he hesitated, they pushed him to the wall. Rena stepped forward, but Tarn stopped her. "Not now," he whispered. "We must reach the square first." Rena's hands clenched, but she stepped back. Milo saw the fire in her eyes. She hadn't come only for the throne. She had come for her people. Finally, they reached Workers' Square. It was wide and open, with broken statues at its center. People stood in lines to receive food from machines. Soldiers watched them carefully. Tarn turned to Rena. "Once you step forward, the world changes." "I'm ready," she said. She walked into the square and pulled back her hood. Her silver hair flowed in the sunlight. Her royal crest shone on her chest. Some people gasped. Others froze. One old woman dropped her bag. "It's her," someone whispered. "The princess." The soldiers shouted. "Step back." "Who are you?" Rena raised her voice. "I am Rena of Veller, daughter of the true line. I am not dead, and I have returned for my people." The square fell silent. More soldiers rushed forward. Blasters pointed at her. Milo stepped in front of her, arms raised. "Don't shoot." Captain Rel and Tarn stood beside them. "She is the rightful heir," Rel shouted. The people didn't run. They didn't scream. They watched. And then someone stepped forward. A woman from the food line. She fell to one knee. Then another person did the same. And another. Soon, dozens knelt. Then hundreds. The guards looked around nervously. Their hands shook. Rena spoke again, her voice strong. "I did not run. I was hunted. My family was attacked. My uncle stole the crown through lies and fear." Milo watched as the people leaned closer. Even the children stared with wide eyes. "I have returned," she said, "not to bring war but to bring hope." One of the guards slowly lowered his weapon. "I remember you," he said. "You visited my district when I was a child. You spoke to us, gave my sister a toy." Rena smiled gently. "And I will return again. To all of you." The guard looked around. Then he turned and knelt. The other soldiers hesitated, then followed. Blasters lowered. Knees touched the ground. The entire square was still, silent, and full of one feeling: coal and hope. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the city speakers. "This is High Regent Varan," said the voice. "Do not believe this traitor. She is false. An enemy. Do not listen." Rena stepped closer to a broken speaker pole. "I'm no traitor," she said. "And the people know it." Milo saw the light in her eyes. She wasn't afraid anymore. She was home. The speaker fell silent. Then came the sound of cheering. From the balconies, from the streets, from every corner of the city, people raised their voices. "Rena, Rena, Rena." Milo felt his heart beat faster. He had never seen anything like it. The princess he once found lying in the dust was now standing tall in front of thousands. She looked at him and smiled. "Thank you, Milo. You believed in me before anyone else." He smiled back. "You never needed saving, Rena. You just needed a chance." Back at the palace, High Regent Varan stared at the screen. "Find her," he ordered coldly. "And this before it spreads." But it was already too late. Across the empire, news spread fast. Messages flew from world to world. The lost princess had returned, the rightful heir had spoken, and the people were ready. The hidden room was small and dim, lit only by flickering holoscreens and the soft hum of ancient equipment. Round the metal table, Rena, Milo, Captain Rel, and Tarn gathered. Their faces showed a mix of hope and worry. "We have the people," Tarn said, pointing at the data on the screen. "But we need more than that. The council controls most of the fleet and the palace defenses." Rena nodded. "To reclaim the throne, we must take the palace. We must show the truth to everyone and stop the lies." Milo looked at her. "That won't be easy." "No," Rena agreed. "But we have no choice." The plan was simple but Dangerous Rena and her loyal forces would strike the palace from inside. Using hidden passages Tarn had discovered years ago, Milo would help by hacking into the security systems, disabling alarms and unlocking doors. Is that safe? Milo asked. Not at all, Rena smiled. But it's the best chance we have. At night, the group moved quietly through the city's dark streets. The moon was hidden behind clouds, and the air was thick with tension. As they neared the palace walls, Milo's fingers danced over a small device. He tapped into the security grid, watching lines of code flicker on the screen. Almost there, he whispered. The heavy gates opened silently. Inside, the palace was cold and empty, except for the distant echoes of guards on patrol. Rena led the way through narrow corridors, her footsteps steady and sure. Milo followed close, hacking doors and disabling cameras as they went. Suddenly, a door hissed open, and two guards stepped inside. Rena moved fast. She struck one with the butt of her blaster, knocking him out. Milo took down the second with a swift strike to the back. They didn't speak. The mission was clear. Deeper inside, they reached the throne room. The doors were massive, engraved with the emblem of House Villari. Rena paused. This is it, she said softly. Milo placed his hand on the control panel. Let me open this. The doors slid open, revealing a large hall filled with armored soldiers and council members. At the center sat High Regent Varan, cold and angry. He rose slowly when he saw them. Traitors. He spat. You dare challenge my rule? Rena stepped forward. I'm not a traitor. I am the rightful heir, and the people know the truth. Varan laughed. The people, they follow me because I give them order. Rena's eyes burned with fire. You give them fear and lies. The council murmured. Some soldiers shifted nervously. Milo glanced at the guards. Many looked unsure, their loyalty shaken. Rena raised her hand, showing the royal mark on her wrist. This symbol is real. It cannot be forged. I wear the blood of Villari. Varan's face twisted in anger. Guards, seize them. But before they could move, the doors burst open. A group of loyal soldiers led by Tarn rushed in. Weapons ready. Enough, Tarn shouted. The council's lies end now. The battle was fierce but brief. Rena fought with skill and courage, leading her team through the palace halls. Milo stayed near the control center, hacking alarms and locking doors behind the rebels. Varan tried to rally his forces, but many guards switched sides, kneeling to Rena. Finally, the High Regent stood alone in the throne room. Rena approached, calm but strong. It's over, Varan, she said. Varan sneered. You may have won this battle, but the Empire will fall. Rena shook her head. No, it will rise stronger, and with justice. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the throne. The room filled with silence. Later, in the throne chamber, Rena sat with Milo beside her. The people of Velar Prime watched from screens across the city. I promise peace, she said. Justice for all. No more fear. No more lies. Milo smiled. You did it. Rena looked at him. We did it, together. Outside, the city slowly began to breathe again. Lights returned. Smiles appeared. Hope grew. The long night was ending. In the quiet moments after victory, Milo asked, What now? Rena smiled softly. Now, we rebuild. For the people. For the future. Milo nodded. And what about me? You've earned your place, she said. Not as a servant, but as a friend, a partner. Milo felt warmth in his chest. He had started as a simple repairman on a desert planet. Now, he stood beside a queen. Together, they would face whatever the stars had in store. The galaxy was watching. A new era had begun. The princess who was saved by a human, and the human who helped save a princess. The sun rose slowly over Velar Prime, painting the sky with soft colors. The city, once dark and silent, was waking up. People walked the streets with smiles and hope in their eyes. The air felt different, lighter, freer. In the great palace, now filled with warmth and light, Rena sat on her throne. But she did not look like a distant ruler. She wore simple clothes, her silver hair loose, and her eyes full of kindness. Beside her stood Milo, the human who had saved her life, no longer just a repairman from a desert planet. He was now a trusted companion, respected by many. The palace was alive with activity. Loyal soldiers helped rebuild broken parts, citizens brought gifts and thanks. But the greatest gift was the feeling of peace returning. Rena spoke to the council that had helped her regain power. We will rebuild the empire with justice and trust. No one will rule by fear again. The council members bowed, ready to serve a new way. Milo watched her carefully. It's a big change, Rena smiled. It has to be, for all of us. One afternoon, Milo and Rena walked through the palace gardens. The flowers bloomed in colors Milo had never seen before. Strange shapes and scents filled the air. But it felt like home. You've changed this place, Milo said. Not just the city, but the people. Rena looked around, breathing deeply. They changed me too. I learned what it means to fight for something bigger than myself. Milo nodded. And what about the stars? What comes next? Rena turned to him, her eyes shining. The galaxy is full of challenges, but I want to face them with friends, not enemies. Milo smiled. Then count me in. News spread quickly beyond Velar Prime. Other worlds in the Velari Empire heard about the new queen and her human friend. Some were happy, others were unsure, but most wanted to see for themselves if peace was truly possible. Rena sent ambassadors to neighboring planets. She invited old enemies to talk, not fight. Milo helped build new communication systems. Reaching out across space. Together, they worked to build trust where there had been fear. One evening, as stars twinkled outside the palace windows, Milo and Rena sat together. Do you ever miss your old life? Rena asked softly. Milo thought for a moment. Sometimes, but I don't regret coming here. I found something better. Rena smiled. Me too. They looked at the stars, dreaming of what was possible. But peace was not easy. Not everyone wanted change. Far away, in the dark corners of the empire, some still plotted. The old council members who lost power whispered of rebellion. But Rena was ready. She had learned that strength was not just in weapons, but in courage, honesty, and friends. Milo stood by her side, ready to face whatever came. Months passed. The empire began to heal. People laughed in the streets. Children played under bright suns. Markets bustled with color and life. Rena opened schools and hospitals. She visited villages, listening to stories and sharing hope. Milo taught young engineers how to build better machines. His skills helped many. Together, they built a new future. One day, Rena stood before a crowd gathered in the palace square. I'm proud to be your queen, she said. But more than that, I'm proud to be your friend. The crowd cheered. Milo stood beside her, feeling a deep joy. He remembered the night he found her, broken and afraid. Now, she was a leader, and he was part of her story. The galaxy watched with wonder. A princess saved by a human who helped save a princess. Together, they changed the stars, and their story had only just begun.